Good morning, everyone, and welcome to People's Church. Whether this is your first time at People's Church, or you come every Sunday, or anywhere in between, I welcome you. My name is John MacLellan, and I'm from the Sunday Services Committee. People's Church is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association and part of a tradition of liberal religion. Here, our mission is to be a beloved community embracing and serving our diverse world. Today is the book service put on by Bultman and John MacLellan, We're going to talk about libraries and then give you a chance to pick out a new book to take home with you. I'll explain more about the book exchange later. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please put the book you brought on the cart back there, sometime between now and the end of the service. Some introductions. Laura Bultman is a children's librarian. She buys, curates, and distributes children's books and thrives in the controlled chaos of children who love books, reading, and learning. John MacLellan has been a librarian for almost 3.5 years. He is responsible for circulation, supervision, adult programming, and holding the ladder while his boss changes light bulbs on the ceiling fixtures. Welcome to everyone. I have 2 announcements this morning. All right. From the White Elephant Committee. The White Elephant sale was a big success. A big shout out to all the people's people who helped all day and throughout the day. The scouts were a great help with setup and teardown. We so appreciate all who contributed and thank each person for all their effort. Proceeds, counted yesterday, were $2,600. A final count will be given at a later date. My second announcement, as you may have noticed, it is hot today. If you find yourself getting too hot, please go to room 19 where there's air conditioning. We will understand if you have to leave. We don't want anybody getting sick or fainting. That would not be good. We'll understand if you have to go.
I'll lend a hand if anybody needs it.
Yep, and if you need help, David Greenquist. All right, so now the chalice lighting. Laura is going to light our chalice. All right. We light this chalice remembering the freedoms long established in our nation. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom from the establishment of religion. We light this chalice honoring those who exemplify protecting those freedoms: librarians, booksellers, teachers, authors, journalists. We light this chalice so that by its light we may read all the books, books with archaic language, books with offensive material, books which affirm the diversity of the human race, books which normalize our varied sexualities, books which share multidimensional perspectives of history. May we bask in the glow of its light this morning as we illuminate, brighten, and radiate because of the books we have read and the books we have yet to read.
All right, we're going to sing this morning. If you would like to rise in body or spirit to sing along with me. This is the song that we used to sing every morning when we did story time during the pandemic here for our church, for the children of our church. So we're bringing it back here as an homage to our story time, and also because it's just a really cheerful, welcoming in song. Are we ready? Here we go. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful
All right, since there is a lot going on in the world right now, we're going to return to a practice that we tried a couple times during the regular church year. Instead of a bowl of water and stones, we have a globe and some heart stickers. So you are invited to come up and place a heart sticker on the globe in the place that worries or matters to you most right now. So this is a silent practice. We're going to have some music. If you want to talk, you're going to have plenty of time in the foyer after the service.
Should see the words up on the screen. Thank you. There are hand motions to this. This is a song that we sing every year at Peace and Nature Camp. Something about this gentle song really gets me. So I'm glad you guys have the words too. There are motions to this song. Feel free to interpret those motions as you would like. Catherine, did you want to come and do them, or do you not remember? Yes? You can come stand up here. You can follow Catherine. Peace and Nature Camp starts tomorrow. Yes, so by the end of this week, she will definitely know them, but for now, we're going to pull them out from last year. I do them, but obviously I can't play and do them simultaneously, so. Ready, miss? Here we go. Hands open to the day. Breathe in, breathe out. Hands joined as if to pray. Breathe in, breathe out. Arms reaching to the sky, then circling around down to the earth. Eyes lifted to the light, to the light. Hands, branches catching rain. Breathe in, breathe out. Then rising like a stalk of grain. Breathe in, breathe out. Arms reaching to the sky, then circling around down to the earth. Eyes lifted to the light, to the light. Hands open to the day. Breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. People's people are a generous people. If you came yesterday to the White Elephant, in spite of the heat, you are generous with your body. The people who were here all day working it, setting it up, taking it down, are also generous with their bodies and their time. And those who bought things are generous with their money. Thank you so much for making all of these things at People's Church work, and it works because of all of us and all of the things that we put into it. And so we will ask you now to be generous again with your money. Remember, the room's over there. Don't be too generous with your body today if you're heating up. The room's still over there. But we ask you again to be generous with your money this morning as we support the good and important work of People's Church. The offering will now be taken.
thanks.
From the countless gifts we each have been given, gifts of life and love and sustenance, we bring these small portions to share in the works of love, which none of us can accomplish alone.
I'm going to begin by sharing some of my favorite quotes about libraries. A great library doesn't have to be big or beautiful. It doesn't have to have the best facilities or the most efficient staff or the most users. A great library provides. It is enmeshed in the life of a community in a way that makes it indispensable. A great library is one nobody notices because it is always there and always has what people need. Vicki Myron. A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert. Andrew Carnegie. Congratulations on the new library, because it isn't just a library. It is a spaceship that will take you to the farthest reaches of the universe. A time machine that will take you to the far past and the far future. A teacher that knows more than any human being. A friend that will amuse you and console you. And most of all, a gateway to a better and happier and more useful life. Isaac Asimov. Libraries are a force for good. They wear capes. They fight evil. They don't get upset when you don't send them a card on their birthdays, though they will charge you if you're late returning a book. They serve communities. The town without a library is a town without a soul. The library card is a passport to wonders and miracles, glimpses into other lives, religions, experiences, the hopes and dreams and strivings of all human beings. And it is this passport that opens our eyes and hearts to the world beyond our front doors. That is one of our best hopes against tyranny, xenophobia, hopelessness, despair, anarchy, and ignorance. Libraries are the torch of the world, illuminating the path when it feels too dark to see. We mustn't allow that torch to be extinguished. Libba Bray. I was going to say something about intellectual freedom, book banning, the defunding of the Institute of Museum and Library Services, or the criminalization of giving controversial books to children. But that makes me angry and sad, and I don't want to be angry and sad today. I believe it's important now to think about why we value libraries and use that feeling, that knowledge, to make whatever difference we can, no matter how small that action is. When I was very young, years before I could read, my mother took me to the library weekly. We would leave with an armful of picture books and take them home. Over the course of the week, my mother read the books hundreds of times. I liked repetition. I'm sure she was relieved when we had a fresh supply. Being read to is a predictor of literacy later in life, and I'm grateful that the library was able to help my mother with that. When I was a little older, my family walked to the grocery store parking lot every Monday evening to meet the library's bookmobile. We were regulars, so we got to know the bookmobile staff. It was a social routine as well as exercise. I remember when the bookmobile almost got stuck on a steep but short hill. I remember when due dates were stamped onto cards in the front pocket of books. I remember a lot of things. Later, the library offered resources. I did research in KVCC's library. I looked through academic journals and photocopied the articles I wanted to use. That's so different from accessing journals today. Then I moved on to Western's library, which is massive and wonderful. I studied in the library at least twice a week and met with classmates there to study together. The library provided access to the information I needed, as well as space to work. The library became more than just paper materials and space. When I was working at the Kalamazoo Literacy Council, my boss sent me to seminars on subjects like leadership and grant writing at One Place, a program that helps nonprofits. I learned a lot from One Place, and I still use some of that knowledge today. Then, the Library of Things came into popularity. At first, there were a few options, but now it's possible to check out almost anything from the library. My first was an octopus-shaped cake pan, which I used to make a lime-glazed cake for a departing coworker. The second such cake turned out well. While I've never needed it, one of the most popular Library of Things items at many libraries is the mobile hotspot, which gives wireless internet access to anyone, anywhere. I'm grateful that the library is there for me and for other people. Now I work at a library, and my perspective has shifted. Instead of asking, what can the library do for me? I'm asking, what can I do for the library and for its many users? Of course, I still use the library as a patron, and I'm glad to be just another patron at my home library, where I can check out anything without my coworkers checking it in and out for me, and where I can use Hoopla for e-audiobooks. But my primary focus is beyond myself now. Now I think, how can I best serve patrons? What do they need, and how do I provide it? How can I promote the library in the community? And what can I do to protect the library as an institution? The library is a priceless resource for the community, and it offers so many things to the people it serves. Is there anything I can do to ensure the library continues to be a resource to everyone who needs it, and that I continue to have my vocation and my livelihood? Is there? I hope so.
One of the questions that we asked for the discussion, which we will get to in a few minutes, is what book made an impact on you as a child? And for me, it's this one of the many, of course. This is Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. I'm not going to read you all the poems. I'm not even going to read you the longest poem about the king that eats the peanut butter sandwich and gets his jaws stuck. It's amazing. You should read it. I'm just going to read you Melinda May. You see Melinda May? Here she is. Have you heard of tiny Melinda May, who ate a monstrous whale? She thought she could. She said she would. So she started right at the tail. And everyone said, you're much too small, but that didn't bother Melinda at all. She took little bites. She chewed very slow, just like a good girl should. And in 89 years, she ate that whale because she said she would. My mother always thought I should be a librarian. My first job was at an independent children's bookstore, and I learned the magic of handing someone a book that they loved or that they were excited to read. And sometimes they came back and told me about it, and then I could give them another one. The movie You've Got Mail came out right about this time, and everyone at my work went and cried with Meg Ryan, who's an independent children's bookstore. The store that she owns closes because a big box store opens downtown. Oh, spoiler alert, sorry. One line that stuck with me is when Meg Ryan, who has inherited the bookstore from her mother, says, I used to watch my mother as a child, and it wasn't just that she was selling books. It was that she was helping people become whoever it was that they were going to turn out to be. Because when you read a book as a child, it becomes a part of your identity. I've been thinking about that, about how the books that we have at the library, which are carefully curated by trained and talented librarians, are there to help people become who they're going to turn out to be. This isn't a new idea for librarians, of course. Really, it's probably not a new idea for anyone who was a reader as a child or someone who's a reader now. Books change us. They're supposed to. Librarians, and perhaps others too, but specifically librarians, talk about books as being mirrors, windows, and sliding doors. So they reflect back our own experiences, they give us a window into someone else's life, or they provide a way to step forward into someone else's experience. That's why it's so important to have so many different kinds of books in the library. In 2014, a nonprofit called We Need Diverse Books was founded. The goal was to amplify the voices that were not being heard in traditional publishing. The goal was to create mirror books for everyone, not just a specific type of kid. Children need to see themselves in books, but they also need to see others. And the goal was to build empathy, which reading does, of course. When we weep with Wilbur over Charlotte, another spoiler alert, we're learning how to process grief. Speaking of which, when I was 9, my mother read Bridge to Terabithia. Another spoiler alert, so you can cover your ears, I caught this one early. Leslie is one of the main characters, best friend of the other boy main character, and she dies. My mother cried for 3 weeks straight. We would be eating dinner, and all of a sudden she would start crying, and we'd be like, oh, it's the book again, and it was. It probably didn't help that Leslie was my age, 9, and I also had a best friend who was a boy. So my mom made me read it. I did, and then very anticlimactically said, yeah, it's sad. Then I read it again when I was 24 and cried for 3 weeks. I think there's a resilience when you read as a child, especially for me as a privileged child who had not experienced the kind of grief portrayed in that book. I could practice through the story. I could understand the sadness. I could learn that you could experience it and you could survive it. And those are skills that I would need later. G.K. Chesterton says, fairy tales don't tell children that dragons exist. Children already know that dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children that the dragons can be killed. In my job, I want to empower children to see and to face the dragons. I don't just want to focus on books today, though. I'd like to say something about libraries in general, which John already beautifully said. I've worked in libraries since 2005, oh Lord, in Illinois, New York, New Jersey, and now here in Michigan. And let me tell you, in case you didn't know, libraries are great. You probably already think this. You probably already feel that libraries are an important part of our society. Forgive me if I metaphorically preach to our choir for a minute. Here's something about the library. It's one of the only places where you can go and you can stay as long as you want, as long as it's open, and nothing is expected of you. No money, no work. You don't even have to read if you don't want to. You just need a modicum of decorum and consideration for those people around you. A library provides technology for those who lack it in their homes. When I worked in Queens, I had someone who worked as a custodian at schools all over Queens, which is massive, by the way, and the subway system is intense. He was a new immigrant still learning English. He would come into the library and say, this is my next job at this school. How do I get there? And so we would go on the website, look at the subway lines, figure out which one he would take, how far he needed to walk, and then he would go to that job for however long it was required. We did this every few weeks for a couple months, and then he stopped coming in. I wondered about it. You don't always get to know the end of the story. In this case, though, you do, which you should have seen from all my spoiler alerts from before. He came back in, and he said he was the one who was so reliable at getting to all his jobs that he got promoted. And he got a full-time job at one of the schools, and he always knew how to get there. So I don't work as much with this kind of question anymore. At my library, I mostly work with kids and their grown-ups. And I work on the program side, too, which is a lot more than the books these days for my particular responsibilities. As much as books form who we are, so do the things that we get to experience. So at my library, we tie-dye, we make light-up wands, we made scribble bots, we dance with toddlers. We teach kids to love stories and story time, starting with the small babies who are encouraged to chew their books. Books, after all, are meant to be experienced. One of the things I consider when planning programming is how accessible this activity is to the families in our community. So we make candy houses, because the amount of supplies needed to make candy houses with 2 kids at home is insurmountable. Ask me how I know. We have a string quartet come to play along with picture books so that children can experience live classical music. We bring in scientists who make elephant toothpaste, who can explain what it's like to live on the space station. We have experts teach children how to create their own canvas paintings. We have live animals. I have held a python in my hands and been kissed by an iguana. One week we had both alpacas and llamas in the same week at 2 different branches. It was a great week. What I'm saying, besides llamas are super soft and you should pet one if you ever get a chance, is that the library is a place to discover your interests, what you like to read, what you like to do, what you like to learn about. And I love doing that. I love working with all different ages of kids and helping them learn more about themselves, the world around them. And it turns out, last spoiler alert, probably unsurprising to everyone but me, is that the library is exactly where I belonged. So for those keeping score, my mother was right, both about me being a librarian and that Bridget Terabithia is tragic. When I worked in Queens, the slogan was, "Enrich your life." I've carried that with me ever since. It's the most succinct way I know to explain what a library is and what it does. I'd like to invite you to explore your own libraries, not just because there are books, but because the library stands as a place for everyone to learn things that will help them become who they are meant to be. A great way to support your library is just to use it. I look forward to hearing how the library has enriched you. We are going to take a few minutes to break off into groups and have some discussion. So we can circle up our chairs. Reed will help those of you who are on Zoom. So you can kind of circle into small groups, and these are the questions that we have put forth for discussion. Question 1, when was the last time you used the library? What's something your library does that you appreciate? What book did you read in your childhood that helped you become who you are? How did it shape who you were meant to be? And 3, what's a book that you've read recently that you keep thinking about? What's made it so impactful for you? So these are quick guidelines for discussion. Please speak the truth as you understand it. Do not comment on others' comments until everyone has had a chance to share. All right, I invite you to circle up and have some talks. You to continue these conversations going forward, not just today, but keep on going. Our libraries need your support. To finish off today, we're going to sing what I sing every week in story time with my kiddos at the library. I'm going to call out the words for this one because we're going to use the version I use with my kiddos. You probably know it. Ready? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This is their favorite verse because they get to yell no. This is hide it under a bushel, no. Hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel? No! I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel? No! I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Don't let anyone it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let anyone it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Don't let anyone it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Back to this little light. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So I have been informed that one of our scouts is missing a scout book in a green canvas cover, so be on the lookout for that. Our work here this morning is at an end, and our work has just begun. The work of holding one another and this community in love, the work of trusting that we are on the right path, the work of believing that what connects us is stronger than what separates us, the work of engaging in that which makes us whole, the work of deeper understanding and commitment, the work of letting go of that which does not serve us, the work of this beloved community, a beloved community of which we are all part, a place where we are welcomed, respected, valued, cherished, a place where we belong. So at this point, all the books that you brought should be on the cart near the door. So you are invited to go and take a look at the books, and take one that speaks to you. Even if you didn't bring a book, you are definitely welcome to take one with you. Books for everyone. Go in peace.